Hello everybody, it's Rihanna. Thank you for clicking on this video. It's very hard to keep people's attention nowadays, so I will not waste your time. So, you want to read more books. First of all, I'd like to share a quote with you. The quote is that the reading of all good books is like conversation with the finest men of past centuries. This is something that inspires me to read. My first tip is my first piece of advice is that remember that reading is a skill. Keeping your attention on something for long periods of time is a skill. It's completely fine if you can't read for like an hour straight right away, if you're not used to reading and you're used to scrolling on TikTok or whatever. The more you do it, the better you get at it, like with anything. The important thing is that you do it every day. Oh my god, it's like that BoJack Horseman quote. It gets easier, but you gotta do it every day. That's the hard part. My second tip is to keep a little calendar or whatever, or you can draw squares yourself, and every day you read for at least like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You do a little X, and you just keep it up, and you develop the habit of reading like that. My third tip for you, starting anything is hard. The way I like to do it is if I can't bring myself to read, then I set a timer for 5 minutes. You just read just for 5 minutes. Once the timer goes off, maybe you like the book and you keep reading, or you just already started, so the hard part is over and now you just read. So if it's hard to start, just do it for 5 minutes at first. Fourth tip is to read out loud. You know, when you just read in your head, you might get like lost. You just read the words, but you don't actually understand what they're saying, that happens to everyone. But when you read it out loud, not only I feel like you can concentrate better, but also it feels like you're reading to someone, so you keep reading, because how do you just stop all of a sudden? That has helped me. I remember I was reading 1984 and I just read it out loud, like half the book, and that really helped me concentrate. So that's something you can try. Fifth tip is to observe your thoughts. It's like with meditating, right? The whole point of meditating is to keep your mind quiet and notice any thoughts that pop up. So a thought pops up, you recognize it, you're like, okay, cool thought, and then you let it go. I like to do that while reading. Like, let's say I'm reading a book and then a thought pops into my head that I'm bored, I want to scroll on TikTok now. You recognize that thought, you're like, okay, cool, but no, and you let it go, and you keep reading, because you don't have to do everything your brain tells you to. But again, it's a skill, training your mind to not do the first thing that it tells you. Realize that you are not in control of what thoughts pop into your head, and of course your monkey brain is gonna wanna scroll on TikTok to get that dopamine fast, instead of reading and getting it really slowly. But just be more conscious of your choices and your thoughts. It ties in with the sixth tip I have for you, which is when you do get these thoughts while reading a book that I want to scroll now or whatever, make it harder for you to, for example, get to your phone. Like, turn it off and then put it on top of something where you can't reach it, so you have to get a chair or whatever, so it's inconvenient for you. You know, when you're reading and your phone is right next to you, it's really easy to just put the book away, get the phone and start scrolling. Make it hard for you to get the phone. The last tip, that's the best in my opinion, is, I don't know if you know these like YouTube videos where it's like this noise will help you concentrate, and it's just like, it's not music, it's not white noise, but it's like some kind of like vibrations or like, I don't know, some weird thing. Just search concentration sounds or like reading sounds or whatever, sounds for reading. That really helps me. Like, I remember one time I was reading Crime and Punishment, actually. I put on my noise cancelling earphones and I started listening to it, and I got so into the book. I remember I was at the place where, spoiler alert, Raskolnikov takes an axe and kills a woman. bro, I was like so into it. That helped me concentrate so much. I read for like 2 hours straight, I think. But that's actually a really good book, so that might have been why as well. But these noises really help. Try it. And my last suggestion is when you do start to read more, take notes. You don't have to take notes while you're reading because it can disrupt your flow. But after you read, or like after your reading session or whatever, take notes, because if you just read it and you don't write anything down, it's gonna, you're gonna forget it. So write down what this book gave you or what it made you think about, and it's really interesting to read when you get older. I've been doing this since I was like 16 or something, and it's really interesting to see how I interpreted like Camus' The Stranger or something, and how I interpret it now. So it's investment into your future to see how you grow and how your thoughts change. For the end of this video, I want to say that a lot of you have been asking me for philosophy book recommendations, but I never know what to recommend because this is kind of my fault, but I feel like I've given people the impression that all that philosophy is just like existentialism and like nihilism, and that the main question of philosophy is what's the meaning of life, which, you can argue that it is, like Camus did, but philosophy is a very, very, very wide subject. So I never know what to recommend, but what I would recommend is read some introductory books to philosophy if you're just getting into philosophy. Like the one I read when I was younger was What Does It All Mean? A very short introduction to philosophy by Thomas Nagel. It was pretty good. It got me interested in philosophy. It gives short overviews of different fields of philosophy, or just read a bit of everything. And you don't need to read books, you can read like articles or even just fucking Wikipedia or something, and figure out what you're interested in. Maybe you're interested in ethics, or I don't know, metaphysics, or like epistemology or something. These again are pretty wide subjects, so just figure out what interests you. It's totally okay that everything in philosophy, in the field of philosophy, doesn't interest you, and it doesn't have to. I can recommend you my favorite fiction authors. One of my favorite authors is Marc. This is his book Arc de Triomphe. I don't know how to spell it. This was embarrassing. But he's the guy that wrote All Quiet on the Western Front, if you maybe have heard of that. This book is also really good. You can read a little description online if you want to read this, maybe. What else do I like? Bro, I have a lot of books. So basically, a lady died and her kids didn't want her books, but she knew me through our relatives, and she knew that I like to read a lot. So she gave me, well, she died, she didn't give them to me, but she wanted me to have her books. So now I got like 200 books, and I don't know where to put them. What else do I recommend? Fuck, I don't know. Me personally, for some reason, I really enjoy like war novels. I don't know why. Fun fact about me is that one of my friends used to have a grandma that was like, she was like a psychic or whatever. I asked her, do you know what I was in the past life? And she told me that I was a soldier who got shot in a forest. So I don't know if I believe in past lives, but that's pretty interesting, because ever since I was a little girl, I've been interested in war. War philosophy is really interesting as well. Bro, but I will recommend one book right away. It is fiction, it's not philosophy, I'm sorry. This is the book that I'm reading right now. In English, it's called Soviet Milk. And it's two parallel stories of a little girl and her mother living through the Soviet times. Read this. It's so good. And especially if you still idolize the Soviet Union, read this. Happy New Year, and I hope that this year you look at less memes, and read more philosophy. And feel free to comment your favorite book down below, or ask for book recommendations from other people in some like specific fields of philosophy. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of this video, and go read a book. I'll see you next time.